We're working on a project here that has to do with exploring, learning about, and discovering medieval scrolls. A scroll is just something rolled up, but we know it's a scroll when you attach one piece to another from top to bottom or from side to side and store it rolled rather than folded. Now, rolls have been the standard way to record text since the beginning of time up until about the 4th century in the West. And in the 4th century, they started having this amazing thing called the codex. Codex is a whole bunch of pages. It opens up like this, and it's miraculous. We call it a book. And the amazing thing about it is you have instant access to any place in the text. We are now, again, in the 21st century, moving out of the age of the codex and back into the world of the scroll. Anybody who uses a computer knows about scrolling down, that we have one long, continuous column of text. We know about scrolls, but they're electronic and virtual rather than real. The question in this project is not learning all about scrolls in other cultures. They're used all in Asia and all sorts of places, and still today. Or to talk about the early times when scrolls were the normal way of bearing a text, like among the Sumerians, the Egyptians, But the question is this: why did anybody keep making scrolls after the codex becomes the main thing? That is, after about the 4th century. So our project is about something that actually arises from a question that somebody asked me in the Vatican Library one day. I went for coffee and at 11 o'clock in the morning, and if you go for coffee in the Vatican Library at 11 o'clock in the morning, you meet all the scholars you've ever met in your life, and they talk to each other about what they're doing. So I was at that time working on a book about exalted scrolls, these wonderful long things with music and pictures and text that are used to bless the Paschal candle on the mysterious vigil of Easter. So I told my friend that that was what I was working on. I was doing a book on these wonderful documents, and he said, "That's really interesting. How many medieval scrolls are there?" And I thought, I have no idea. So I rushed back into the library, went through all the paleography manuals to see what they said, and what they said was, scrolls were in use up until the time of the codex, and then people start using codices, and they don't say much about medieval scrolls. Nobody says much about medieval scrolls. They occasionally get mentioned in scholarly literature. When a text happens to be found on a scroll, they might mention that it's a scroll, but the interest is in the text. So my interest began to be in how many medieval scrolls are there and why would anybody make a scroll. So as a kind of a hobby for the last 10 years or so, every time I see a mention of a scroll, I put it in a folder, and the folder's gotten bigger. And recently, we engaged in a multi-part project to bring all this information together, because I honestly think that nobody knows except for our team what the medieval landscape of scrolls actually is. So we conducted a seminar taught by a variety of a team of people, a paleographer, somebody from the Divinity School, me, with a group of students from a variety of different backgrounds, and we studied medieval scrolls, and in particular we studied the very interesting collection of scrolls here at Harvard. We mounted an exhibition in the Houghton Library of the Harvard Scrolls, and the students in the seminar curated and made the commentary and the catalog of the exhibition. At the same time, we worked very hard to make a list of as many scrolls as we could think of, based on the list that I had, but my list was, an amateur's list, and the pretty extensive bibliography that I had assembled. The students went to work on that, fleshed out the bibliography, got the rolls straight, or as straight as we could get them. And the next stage in this project is to combine several things. The Houghton exhibition, a module for the Harvard X online learning project that we've done on medieval scrolls, and the website that we're building that will give users all around the world access to everything we know about scrolls. The list of scrolls, kinds of scrolls there are in the world, reasons for making those scrolls, bibliography on each scroll, what has been studied about it, and links outside to the holding library, to any images there may be, and that kind of thing. We believe that this is the only place in the world where you can get comprehensive information about medieval scrolls.